This conference will now be recorded.
Great. So hi everyone. Welcome to this session. We are going to discuss your personal interview preparation for the colleges from which you have the call from, or going forward once you will be getting the call from IIM Indore. Now, I believe that this is the first time most of you are going to appear for any formal professional interview. I believe so far none of you have appeared for any of the interviews, for any purpose. But that is no need to worry. We have good enough time to prepare. We are going to tell you very sharp pointers around which you need to revolve your preparation, and all of you will be able to do well when it comes to your personal interview, be it for IIM Rohtak, be it for IIM Indore, be it for Symbiosis. You don't need to worry at all. Now, oh, great, good Arushi, great. So coming to before I get to the non-subjects or the non-academics part which you need to prepare from your personal interview perspective, let me tell you that you need to revise your subjects also. Revise them at a very high level, so that at least all the basic concepts, they are not going to ask you very in-depth questions on your subjects, but they may ask you some very high level questions from your subjects of class 12. For computer science, for commerce, and for economics. For these three subjects, I will share a list of questions also, because these three subjects are very commonly asked in the interview. But when it comes to PCM and bio, I will tell you at a very high level what questions you need to prepare, or say what kind of questions could be asked from you, and you will prepare them. Then when we will be taking your mock interviews, we will be asking you questions from all the subjects, and you will get to understand that how you need to refine your preparation. So for computer science, for economics, I'll be sharing a list of questions, so don't worry on that front. Even PCM and bio, since they are very vast subjects, you don't need to study everything. I'll just give you a quick overview of what kind of questions could be asked. Now, suppose Araki, since it's just 1 year, you can't say that you don't remember your subjects. It's not like 4 5 years. I believe it's just 1 year. 1 year is not a good enough time for you to forget your subjects. Now, coming to physics, if I start off with physics, some very high level questions which could be asked. And don't worry, I'll provide you a tentative list of PCM and bio questions also by tonight. Don't worry, but I'm telling you that in what direction you need to prepare. For physics, if I say, they may ask you what is Archimedes principle, what is Newton's law, what is Pascal's law, what no. So these are the kind of questions they could ask you. Very high level laws. They could ask you what are the different kinds of motions. What do you understand by friction? Some formulas, kinetic energy, potential energy, so on. So basic stuffs which you study in your physics is what they could ask you. And so that's one thing which you need to prepare. They are not going to ask you to do the derivation. They simply will ask you that what is the theorem, what is the formula, and what is the real life application of that. These are the three broad things which they will be interested in. They will not be interested in any derivations or making you solve numericals. Till the time you can tell them the formula, it's all good. You don't need to solve a numerical in your interview, or you don't need to do a derivation, but you should definitely know all the major theorems, major laws, their formulas, and their real life application is what is important. So that's something which you need to know about in physics. When it comes to chemistry, you need to again tell me basic stuff. So for example, if I talk about your physical chemistry, I'll be asking you very basic stuffs. What do you understand by periodic table? I could ask you some of the element names in the periodic table, how many elements are there in periodic table, and so on. I could ask you what are the different kinds of bonds, what's the difference between covalent bond, ionic bond. I could ask you what's the difference between electron, proton, neutron, so on. Shraddha, 11th and 12th, they are typically considered as one. So there is nothing like 12th alone or 11th alone. As I said, what I am telling you right now is the kind of questions they will ask you. Depending upon board to board, this may vary, that what part is covered in 11th and what part is covered in 12th. So when it comes to physical chemistry, they could ask you questions around these. They could ask you what do you understand by equilibrium. They could ask you, that's what is valency. What is the role of valency when we are trying to balance an equation? Very very high level understanding. They will not get into depth in organic or inorganic, so you don't need to worry. But very very basic stuffs around organic or inorganic, if you could revise, it's good. But majorly they are going to ask you physical chemistry, if they at all ask you chemistry in the interview. That's about chemistry. Maths is one of the most critical areas, and that is one area where you need to prepare maximum number of questions. I will share with you a PDF of some of the questions which could be asked from maths. In maths, you need to you need to be able to talk about different kinds of series which we study in class 11th and 12th. Uh, so uh, they could ask you what are the different theories which you have studied, what are the formulas. APGP definitely is something which they could ask you. But beyond that, they could ask you what do you understand by binomial theorem. They could ask you what do you understand by what are the different kinds of probability definitions. What do you understand by conditional probability, and so on. They could ask you questions even around that. They could ask you what is Fibonacci series as well. So these are some of the questions which they could ask you. I'll again share with you a list of math questions, especially the kind of theorems which you need to study. So, for example, we all study Fermat's theorem in maths. They can ask you what is Fermat's theorem. Calculus, not a lot, but you should know a base. You should know the basic difference between continuity and differentiability. This is one of their favorite questions. What is the difference between continuity, differentiability? What is the difference between continuous function and a non-continuous function? What is the role of limits? These are the things which they could ask you. They will not make you solve a calculus question. They'll not make you solve a differentiation or an integration question typically. But they will ask you, these stuffs that about around functions, around continuity, around differentiability, etc. Okay. Then when it comes to bio, similarly for bio, you need to understand the very very basic stuffs around cells. For example, they could ask you what is the function of mitochondria. They could ask you different parts of a cell. What are the functions of different parts of a cell, be it a plant cell or a human body cell. They could ask you those kind of things. They could ask you very standard nomenclatures which we typically use in biology. That's what they could ask you, but nothing beyond that. So overall, when it comes to physics, chemistry, maths, and bio, these are the very, very broad set of questions which they can ask you. Is it clear, everyone? Any questions? Yes, Vani, majorly theory part only in mathematics. They will not make you solve a question. Any questions around physics, chemistry, maths, bio, anyone? No, they will not ask you history and geography, Vijayashri, if history and geography were not your subjects in class 11th and 12th. They will not ask you history, geography if history and geography were not your subjects in class 12. Okay. Any doubts so far? PCM, Vijayashri, what are the subjects which you have studied? Can you tell me in the chat window which subjects have you studied? Anushka, for commerce only economics will be covered, or accountancy? Everything, Anushka. They could, I'm just coming to that part. They can ask you. They can ask you accounts and business. So Vijayashri, since you have studied economics, history, geography, English, and maths and economics is what they will primarily ask you. In geography and history, they can ask you very broad questions. They may tell you a name of a river, and they can ask you that this river flows in which state or does not go through which state. They can ask you a particular state and ask you the soil for it. They can tell you a crop type, and they can tell you that which crops fall under this, what's a kharif crop, what's a rabi crop, etc. In history, they could ask you very basic questions about ancient Indian history or modern Indian history. They'll not ask you international history. They'll not ask you world history. They'll majorly be focused on Indian history, especially the modern history. Some special independence movements is what you should know. Some major names of big leaders which India has had in history is what you should know. But nothing more than that. Primarily, they will be focused on economics and maths based on your subjects, Vidyashri. Current affairs from last 3 to 4 months, yes, they can ask you. If you will go to your course accounts, you will find fact sheets. You will find fact sheets from January to July in your course account. Please study them. Fact sheets are nothing but current affairs is what they could ask you. Raghavendra, they are not going to ask you something which you have not studied. Vectors, they will not typically ask you. Anmol, static GK is not asked in your interview unless you are from art subject and you have studied history, geography, etc. Only current affairs will be asked to people from non-arts background. Only people who are from arts background can be asked certain questions from history or geography, but apart from them, there is going to be no other question which is asked. We will also upload one short ebook on history and one short ebook on geography in your course account today, so that you can quickly revise some concepts as well. That will help everyone who is from arts background. Anushka, yes, they can definitely ask you politics in current affairs, and that could be specifically be politics of your state. So, for example, if you are coming from, say, an X state, they could ask you certain politics-based questions of your state. They could ask you some questions around Indian politics, especially when it comes to government schemes which have been launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We will put up one PDF of important government schemes launched so that you can go through them. They can ask you a very broad understanding of what is your understanding of India-US relationship. They can ask you what do you understand from India-China relationship and India-Pakistan. These are the three major relationships they could ask you. Khyati, let's not go by hearsays. Let's go by what they've specifically mentioned in the interview process. Extempore was conducted for IIM Rohtak MBA admissions, not for IPM. And so for IPM, if they have written that they are going to conduct only PI, it means only PI. Extempore was told separately. Extempore will not come to you as a surprise on your interview date. So let's go by what they have mentioned in the process. Yes, Vanishri, majority of your interview is going to be from your 11th and 12th concepts. Apart from the subjects which I was telling you that in what direction you need to prepare for your PCM, bio, arts, do you all have an idea now that what kind of questions to prepare? What do you need to study in PCM and bio? Do you understand now? Do you understand what kind of questions do you need to prepare in history, geography as well? Perfect. And when we will conduct your mock interviews, we will ask you questions around these areas. So the first mock interview will give you a much more in-depth idea about what kind of questions could be asked. Now, apart from this, there are few questions on your screen which you need to prepare, and you need to write down the answers for all these questions in a Word document and email it to me for review. My email ID, all of you know my email ID. My email ID is varun@careerna.com. It's varun@careerna.com. You need to write down the answers for these questions which are on your screen and send to me for review. The 7 questions, these are the 7 questions which you need to prepare beyond your subjects. First, tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself. Now, I will be providing the recording of this session immediately, so you don't need to write down anything. I'm going to tell you some pointers which you need to cover in Tell Us About Yourself. In Tell Us About Yourself, you are going to start off your answer telling your name. Then you will talk about your city. You will mention your city. Try to use some adjective for the city, like Mumbai, commercial capital, Lucknow, city of Nawabs, and so on. Then talk about your class 10th marks. Mention class 10th marks only if they are above 80. If they are less than 80, do not mention them. Then talk about your class 12th marks if you already have them. If you don't have your 12th marks already with you, just say that I have appeared for class 12 now, and then you tell that what subjects you had in class 12. So if someone is coming from commerce background, say that I had commerce, I did my class 12 with commerce as majors, or with economics as majors, or with maths as majors or computer science as majors and so on. Then or you could say that I did my class 12th in arts with history and geography as majors. You could even say that. Once you have said this, you will talk about your academic achievements followed by your extracurricular achievements. It's understand that tell us about yourself will either be the first question of your interview or it will never be asked. And if this is the first question of your interview, you need to sell yourself to the panel, and you have to mention all your achievements in your life so far, whether it be NTSC, whether it be Olympiads, whether it be securing rank 1, rank 2, city level rank, district level rank, sports, debates, whatever it is, you are going to mention in your tell us about yourself as an achievements. And once you have mentioned all your achievements, you are going to end the answer with your hobbies. Do not mention more than 2 hobbies. 2 hobbies are good enough, but what you need to ensure that whatever hobbies you mention, you are able to answer questions around the hobby. That's important. So that is the broad structure of tell us about yourself answer. Any questions? Perfect. Perfect. So then the next thing which you need to prepare is, why do you want to join this course? If it is for SET, you will write from that context. If it is for I am Rohtak or I am Indore, you will write from the perspective of IPM. Yes, Anushka, you should mention that you have a proper degree in classical dance. It's good. You need to showcase your diversity as a candidate. No, Purvai, you will not mention your strengths or weaknesses in intro. Bani, yes, you can mention your optional subjects. Never mention your weakness in your intro. Let them ask you your weakness. Do not tell it upfront. Why do you want to join this course? In this answer, you will talk about that what generated your interest in the field of IPM or in the field of BBA or in the field of BCom. Yes, Anushka, you should definitely mention that you are a state level basketball player. These things matter a lot. Yes, Shrishti, you should mention scholarships from foreign universities. So in your why do you want to join this course answer, whether it is for BBA or BCom or IPM, you will start off your answer by talking about what generated your interest in the field of BBA or BCom or IPM. Try to link things with what you have done in past, maybe a relevant subject which you studied in class 12th which generated your interest, you interacting with some of your seniors who have made their career in these fields, you having observed certain things around which intrigued you in the respective field. You could use all these kind of references to talk about what generated your interest in this course, and then you also talk about what skills do you expect yourself to learn from this course which will help you to achieve your long-term career goals. So that's how you will structure your question answer to the question, why do you want to join this course? Is it clear? I am anyway going to ask you all of you to write these 7 answers and send to me for review, so don't worry. Then comes your what are your long-term career goals? The answer to this question has to be around 2 to 3 sentences only, ideally 2. Just mention that how do you see yourself as a senior business management professional or a senior management professional who uh, who is trying to add what kind of a value to the for the organization you are working for. One simple line answer for long-term career goal could be, I see myself as a senior management professional or a senior business management professional who is adding strategic value to the growth of the organization. That's how simple you can keep it. But if you want to customize it based on your profiles, you can do it. I will anyway be reviewing these answers. No, Raghavendra, don't give on entrepreneurship as an answer for long-term goals. Entrepreneurship is one thing for which you don't need an MBA, you don't need an IPA. I can just bombard you with cross questions which you will not be able to defend. See, you can do whatever you want to do in your life. Once you get into the college, no one will come and ask. But in the interview, let's try to keep our answers in a way where we get least possible cross questions. Then short-term goals. Short-term goal answer has to be 3 to 4 sentences. And in this, you need to talk about that what kind of skills do you see yourself learning and developing over the period of next few years. So in next 3 to 5 years, what kind of skills do you see yourself developing? What kind of initial career do you see for yourself after you pursue your graduation or you pursue the IPM course? That's what you are going to talk about in your short-term career goals. Strengths and weaknesses. You need to come up with 3 strengths, and for every strength which you are going to mention, you are also going to tell me one example where you have demonstrated that strength in past. So you cannot just mention the strength, but you also need to tell me where have you demonstrated that strength in past. Similarly, weakness, you need to come up with 2 weaknesses, and for both the weaknesses, you will also come up with how are you working to overcome the weakness. Then what are your hobbies? These hobbies are going to the same which you mentioned in tell us about yourself. Just mention 2 hobbies over here. Last question, who is your role model and why? This could be any person. This could be any person who is your role model. This could be your father, mother, relative, friend, brother, sister, celebrity, any big celebrity. Name does not matter. Uh, what matters is what traits in this person make him or her your role model, and that is what I would be looking out in your answer. So as the next step, after we are done with this class, by tonight or by tomorrow, send me the answers for these 7 questions in a Word document. Send me in a Word document. Do not send me in a PDF so that I can edit your answers in Word document and send it back to you. Or if I would require to get in touch with any one of you to discuss any one of your answers, I will call you, discuss your answers, edit your answers and send back to you so that the answers are finalized and you can use these answers in your interview. Is it clear? Any doubts so far? Perfect. In addition to this, you will also find one PDF, and this is only for commerce and economics background people. For people who are from commerce and economics background, there is one PDF which we will be providing you in your course material. You need to go through these financial terms also. This is a big PDF, so give it some time. But it is if as a commerce or an economics student, you can go through this. This is going to help you in your in your interview. Similarly, here is another list of commerce PI questions. Again, this is going to be provided in your course. This is again something which you need to study and prepare the answers. You don't need to send me the answers for commerce PI questions. These are just for your reference to prepare. PCM students don't need to go through this commerce PI questions list or the finance terms. If you want, you can go to the finance terms, but definitely not PI questions of commerce. Finance terms only mandatory for commerce and economics background students. Yes, Anushka, they can ask you why do you want to go for IPM, and that's where it's a part of your critical PI questions. Eco questions are included in this, Anmol. There is broadly there is no difference between economics and commerce in terms of the kind of questions can be asked. Hence, even if you are from commerce or economics, you need to prepare a same set of questions. But you should be able to tell me in your interview what is the difference between economics and finance or commerce and finance. Majorly, I will ask you what is the difference between commerce and finance. I will not ask you what is the difference between commerce and no economics, but I will definitely ask you what's the difference between commerce and finance. Shrishti, not the entire syllabus, only the kind of topics which I told you. I will be sharing with all of you, one PDF of physics, one PDF of chemistry, one PDF of biology, one PDF of history, one PDF of geography. That's going to take care of the broad areas which you need to cover. But from a physics, chemistry, bio perspective, you need to understand all the basic laws like Newton's law, Pascal's law, Archimedes principle, etc., etc., etc. Similarly, from chemistry perspective, special focus on physical chemistry. Very less on organic and inorganic. Inorganic not as primarily, majorly physical chemistry. Biology again more about the cells, the plant cell and the human body cell. What are the different functions of the different parts of cell is what you should be aware of. And then also you should be aware about that if I say that vitamin D, what are the sources of vitamin D, what will happen to me if there is a deficiency of vitamin D in my body. So these kind of questions are what they could ask you. Shraddha, we will be providing you today itself. PDFs are ready. We just need to upload in your course. Accountancy, economics is what I just covered in the finance terms and the commerce PI questions. Vijayashri, depending upon your interview date, we will try to set up at least 2 to 3 mock interviews. Considering the time is less, we cannot do more than 3 interviews. We will do 2 for everyone. We will try for 3 depending upon your interview date. And then once we are done with the Rohtak and Symbiosis interviews, for all of you who will be getting the call for IIM Indore, we will be again conducting mock interviews. No, Alka, as I said, your role model could be anyone. This person does not necessarily need to be from business background or a celebrity. This could be as simple as your father or mother or your elder brother or your elder sister. Name does not matter. What matters is what traits in this person make him or her your role model. What if I don't have one? That means that you are a person who does not introspect or read a lot, because ideally we none of us in our life should ideally be without a role model. Role model doesn't mean that I'm trying to copy someone. It just means that someone is my inspiration. Shivam, I talked about IIM Rohtak, IIM Indore, and Symbiosis. Vijayashri, if it's more than one, you can mention up to 2. Do not mention more than 2. Okay. So everyone, after this class, within next 10-15 minutes, I will be sharing with you one Google form in the WhatsApp group. All of you are required to fill that form so that I can get to know your interview dates. And then I will share with you the schedule of your mock interviews by tonight. All of you, please start sending me the answers for critical PI questions. Some of you have already sent me. So if you have already sent me, I will send you the reviewed answers tonight itself. And others could send me the answers tonight or latest by tomorrow. Okay, so Anmol, so for people who have their Symbiosis interviews, they can update the dates. For IIM Rohtak, we will check out the dates once they announce the dates. Okay. Great. Any more doubts, anyone? Do you have a better understanding now that what do you need to prepare? Alka, mock interviews are very customized to a person's profile. Seeing a mock interview video of any other student will not help you. What I will do is I will record your mock interviews so that you can refer to them to understand your mistakes and you can avoid those mistakes in future mock interviews. Aditi, they will definitely ask you more finance questions. And they will also ask you that why do you want to switch now? We will ask you these questions in your mock interview, don't worry. Purvai, your Symbiosis Pune interviews tomorrow. So as I said, first of all, at least go through these critical PI questions which I shared over here. The 7 questions. You should be well prepared with these, and then revise your subjects as much as you can. Shraddha, let's not speculate, but I believe that your IPM Rohtak interviews will be conducted within August. Okay. Any more doubts, anyone? Great. So all the PDFs I talked about, the finance one, the commerce one, the physics, chemistry, and the history and geography, they will be live in your accounts today itself. You can start studying them. Pratyush, share with me your draft answers. I will help you refine them. Don't worry. There is no ideal answer. All of you should not be just mentioning those weaknesses which I tell you in this session. Think of your own weakness and try to be honest. There is nothing wrong in being honest. All of us have weaknesses, and that's why this question is asked. This weakness is not going to decide your candidature. By asking you weakness, I just try to know that do you know about yourself or not. That is the purpose of this question. It isn't like that if you will tell me a genuine weakness, I will reject you. No, this question is asked so that I can know that whether you know about yourself or not. Unless you know about yourself, how can you manage other people? So that is why this question is asked. Okay. Perfect. Great. So thank you, everyone. I'll be sharing the recording of this session right away. And all these PDFs will be available in your course account very shortly. We will update you as soon as they are available. And let's start off with mock interviews from tomorrow. W80 topics, no, they are not going to ask you, Anushka. Purvai, you will get to know the trick questions. No, so if you are referring it from the perspective of UPSC questions like it is asked in IS and all, no, MBA colleges, they don't ask you trick questions. Yes, Pratyush, if current affairs last 3 months, please do study, especially read about all the news about Corona, all the initiatives taken by Government of India about Corona, read about national education policy, read about national education policy as well, very important. So all of you who have your symbiosis interviews tomorrow, please go through NEP today, just know the key highlights so that you are able to talk about it in the interview. They may ask you that what is your view on NEP. Okay, great. So thank you everyone. We'll catch up soon once we start off with your mock interviews. I'll provide you the recording and the PDFs very shortly today. Thank you. And at any point of time, I'm on WhatsApp along with you. Feel free to shoot your questions. Thank you, and I hope the session was of some use.